Shalom. Today I'd like to continue our series on fact or fantasy portions that deal with media misinformation that occurs even in very well-respected and renowned publications, such as the one I'm holding in my hand, The Economist. The reason I'm doing these fact or fantasy portions is because I believe that the general public has the basic right to have understanding of the Middle East conflict. And very often the news media coverage of the situation is shallow and without perspective, and even furthers this lack of understanding of the actual historical facts on the ground. For example, Yasser Arafat died on November the 11th, 2004, and The Economist's obituary column was published on the 13th of November, and it opens by revealing how Yasser Arafat formed Fatah, his PLO organization, in 1953, and I quote now from the magazine. He was disenchanted with the Arab world's inability to do anything about Israel's 1948 conquests. And then it charts his leadership spanning over 40 years as part of the obituary. But here's the problem in this little phrase, Israel's 1948 conquests. This article indicates that Israel conquered the Palestinians, and this is far from the truth. In fact, Israel on May the 15th was invaded by 6 Arab armies: Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, and was actually invaded after they declared their statehood in the vacuum that was created by the British departure as they abandoned their mandate to administer the Holy Land. So The Economist actually perpetrates the myth that the Jews conquered Palestine and glosses over key facts surrounding the establishment of the Jewish national home. So The Economist obituary writers here have incredibly enforced this historical myth that Israel has no ongoing connection with the land going back thousands of years. So the fantasy is that the Jews have no historical connection and were simply dumped here after the Holocaust on top of the Palestinian people. The fact of the matter is that this untruth actually fuels anti-Semitism, misleads the public, and reveals that such inaccurate historical narrative creates the Palestinian sense of historic grievance among countless millions around the world. And this does not advance the coexistence and reconciliation or mutual understanding between the Israelis and the Palestinians that we all long for. The fantasy is that Israel had been the conquerors of the Holy Land in 1948. The fact is that all the neighboring Arab countries invaded Israel in that year. That's my fact or fantasy for this week. I'm Dr. Jay Rawlings, and shalom from the beautiful hills of Benjamin.